Okay, recording that again. Um, I had another dream that I couldn't. I already cussing at the beginning of the video. That I couldn't record, and now I'm recording again now. But I kind of can remember where I got to. I was around beings in a world like Earth, but these beings all had personalities based on what they were, and it was really it's just impossible to explain, but I can explain some things about them. Like there was these beings called giants. There was these beings I don't want to name that one come new ones. There was these demons, and then there were these kind of like subhuman type people, and not subhuman, like non-human. And they there was this scene, and this has like the story is intermingled, and there's like a whole thing that was going on, but I can't remember how to combine it together, so I had to explain the world first and then try to figure out what was going on. There was this giant, and giants are usually peaceful. They're like tall, like the size of the mountains, and they're like hippies. They're like in nature and have long hair, and they talk like a stoner. And this race called, which I'm calling the new ones, kidnapped him and turned him into a cyborg and used him like as a building or a weapon, but they kept his brain intact or his personality intact at the minimum. And he, uh, giants have like large nostrils, I guess. Like their nostrils are going to like the front of their face instead of like underneath their nose, like how we have them. Like how we have a nose, they don't have a nose. They just have two holes that go into their head, and they look fairly human. I remember seeing the giant's children's running around his brain, and they were also turned into cyborgs, but they still had human features in them, I guess because they were still the size of a human. And there were these horrific things. The children had the skin on their face completely peeled off, and their eyes, the eyes of a giant, are like disproportionate to their head, and it would stick out from their skull. And they'd be these googly eyed, headless, skinless head things with these bare nostrils that you could see like opening and closing, like they were like flaps in the back of their, like where the throat would be. They would have these flaps that would open and close, and they didn't have any mouth. They all they did was like breathe, and it was really disturbing because they were like running at me and stuff. And I guess they were trying to do something. They were trying to get something for the dad, but I just thought they were monsters because of the way they looked, and it just really disturbed me. But that actually happened in a storyline that hasn't even I can't even begin to explain. But I remember that I was like being at a party with these people by a beach, and I could hear the DJ, and the DJ was saying, it was just playing music, and like I couldn't get into like the center part of it, and he was like, "Hey, how are you feeling?" I was like, "Oh, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm just bopping right now," or something like that. And I remember standing in the water when I was talking to him, and it was like, "Hey, if you," oh, I said something like, "Oh, I'm just here with friends. I'm waiting for them. I'm not actually trying to get into the party. I was just wondering if you've seen them." But I could hear the music from here. It sounds pretty good. And then he like looked. He was like, "Yeah, cool." He was like acting normal. He was like an Asian guy, like a short Asian guy with like slick back hair, and he said, "Hey, if you need any help listening, I got some. Would you want to talk to your doctor about that or something like that?" Like he said that, and I just looked at him and I said, "Yeah, I'll go talk to my doctor." Yeah. And I hope you know who I was referring when I said yeah. But and what he meant was like, "Hey, come to my car. I parked it out in the middle of the lake. It floats. Come to my car and I'll give you some drugs so you could enjoy the party more." And I was like, "Okay, I don't have any money." But I have a Cash App, but I know we can't talk about it there because people are watching and like you're a Yakuza member or fucking Yakuza's around or some shit like that. Like I just felt like the Yakuza were around. And I went over there. I was trying to look for stuff to sell. Like, can I sell this for the drugs, or can um, can I Cash App him? How the fuck do I get there? I can't drive out into the middle of this lake. And he was just looking at me as I don't have any way to communicate with him because I don't have his number. He was just looking at me waving like a dumbass. Even though we were being all sneaky at the fucking headphone stand or wherever the fuck he was at. And then we went over and then he was just waving. And I guess I remember him falling in and something crazy happening to him, but I know there was something up with that water. And and I remember that when I went back to the party, like the party, it was like weird. Like it was like we were in a park, but the forests were huge. I mean, the trees were huge. Like the individual trees at the park here in Carlsbad, they're like there was a sidewalk and there was like little trees around. This one had like a little sidewalk and the trees around it were like huge. They were like the size of building. I mean, the diameter was like it was like the size of a small house. It wasn't just a regular tree. And I remember being at this place. And I remember switching from like campsite to space station in the dream I was in. And I wish I could draw this because this stuff is like so cool looking. And when I did, I was at the campsite and I was just like talking, and like I had like a trend of falling into the water. And every time I fall into the water, if I go out of the water, I could jump back in a certain way, and then I'd reload to the last time I jumped into the water. So if I fuck up, like hitting on a girl, or uh, I break something, or I hurt somebody, or I just want to do something again, I could just jump into the water, and then whenever I want to revisit the time before that, it's like saving in a video game. I just jump into the water a certain way, and then I show it back at the party where I was when I jumped into the water. And if I fall accidentally, I just end up saving that time instead of the other time. And I remember, um, damn, there was so much going on. But I remember like talking to a lot of people. I think my cousin was there. There's people I was like pretty cool with. It was like an amazing, just little campground get together thing. And what the hell's going on? I remember being in the space station. I was looking around, and it was like the hall. There was like to navigate the room. It's like a little maze, but it's only like waist high, so you can see everything. But you have to walk like around this thing, and the whole ship was made of this like chrome foam. And I remember looking around and seeing weird like little creatures, and um, I felt like something little was like moving around, like a little like being. And I was thinking, I had this weird like spiritual revelation in this dream. This thing came out of like a lab or like another room that was in the spaceship, and the spaceship was unattended for some reason. I don't know why I'm even here, but I'm starting to picture the walls in my head. The walls were like they had like sockets coming out of them, but like fleshy sockets, like a pale white, like a grayish wall with like pale cyan orbs shining from just underneath the brim of the socket, and they had like an eye shape. So it was like cyan around the rim where the white part of your eye would be, and then it'd be like the iris and the rest is just pure like black, and it slowly turns the edges into the color, and it would glow, and there was another side that looked like M's or like waves written into the walls, and the grooves were glowing or something like that. It was like really tall, high walled rooms in the ship, and when they when I saw this thing come out, I felt like this surge of emotion to like mourn the people that died on the ship, or like show some respect or connect with them physically or emotionally. Because I'm just imagining that like this ship is like they did like really weird stuff here, like they kidnapped kids from orphanages and converted them or abused them, and had had mutated them into like the thing I was holding. It looked like a little eyeball with like black legs on it, and its body just encompasses the eyeball, and it had two legs. It was just running around. And when I held it, it started like deflating, and I just tried to focus all my sadness to even try to compare to all the trauma that everyone felt on the ship. And I was starting to go kind of crazy because I couldn't handle all of it. I couldn't handle being abused in multiple life times uh, for so long, like basically your whole life. If you're like a human trafficking, and you don't get out your whole life, like from the age of like 6 all the way to like 40 or something. Whenever they decide you're no longer needed, you'll be in this awful situation. And I tried to like mourn all that, and I think my mourning detected caused something to be alerted, and it broke through the ship, and it was just like it had like the head of like a human, and it had like long like purple hair, and its body was also like a lighter shade of purple, and I'm remembering it had like crab claws, and it had like a woman's face sort of, and but the body was attached from the neck of the face, so it wasn't like a face of a human where the crab's head would be. It was like a just like a neck sticking out of like a crab's body. I remember something like that. And the what am I saying? The I started running away, and I guess this is like what I would call like an elite or like an ancient this beings that were attacking me. I want to say they're the new ones, but I feel like the new ones are even better than them, or I mean grander than them, I guess. And I remember heading back to the party, and I was cool with this one guy, but I guess I made fun of him. Like my cousin was sitting next to him, my cousin Daniel, and I guess he was cool for him. I don't know. I just had that sort of context in my head that hey, this guy's cool with my cousin, so I could be kind of cool with him just because the party kind of lines the mood of the whatever. And my cousin said something to him, and I made a remark that made it sound like a kid, like that made him sound like he was a kid because he was a little shorter. And then he kind of like he didn't like get mad at me, but he kind of like made like a note that like you kind of see like I was like, huh, maybe I don't like this guy. And I felt really bad because I, dude, I was just fucking around, and now I insulted you on something you're insecure about that I didn't know you're insecure about because you're always like breakdancing and stuff. I thought you were cool. And I guess there was this new technology that you could become characters from movies. Like I'm not sure if you know about VR chat, but it's like you pick an avatar, you go around, and you have like tools and stuff like that. But you can't like it's not like a video game. It's just like a chat room. Like you can't actually hurt somebody. At least I don't think you can without their permission. But like it's just like a VR headset, so you could pick your avatar and talk and whatever. It was kind of like that. Like you could pick your avatar over your body and then talk and move, and the avatar would talk and move, and somebody noticed that he was mad at me and there was tension building between us. And they were like, "Hey, you two should dance battle." I'm like, "Oh, what?" I knew he was good at dancing. He was gonna whoop my ass, but I wasn't just gonna say it. When they said dance battle, I was like, "Oh, what dance battle?" And I started trying to do like a little bit of like dancing, like as a joke. And then I was gonna equip my skin. I was gonna break dance this like a Dragon Super Saiyan Goku, and I fucking fell into the water, and I got up and I lost my save, and I can't remember when I saved. And then something happened, like something interrupted like the breakdance, and they were trying to help me. I want to say it was like uh, it was like something to do with the cyborg children. Yeah, the giant cyborg children like came in and they started like taking our stuff for like technology. They started taking our technology. Yeah, I remember this clearly. They started taking our technology because they needed it to save their dad. Like I guess they were trying to like finally kill their dad because he's still alive in this fucking construction they made out of him, and it was really fucked up. And when we were kind of pissed off because we didn't know what they were, and these kids looked ugly. They just looked like goblin freaks with their big nostrils and fucking bulbous eyes and skinless face. They just looked like horrific, and we hated them. And we tried to chase them, and they were moving weird, and they were getting in ships and flying off because they're technologically enhanced. So I guess they're technologically adept. Also, I'm not sure if that really makes sense, but it made sense in the world. And and then we just said fuck it. But like a lot of times, stuff in my dream would replay. I can't remember why it would replay over and over again. When I was chasing after them, I think I crossed paths with that drug dealer guy, and he took like great offense to me leaving him stranded in the fucking lake. And I was like, oh shit, I forgot to pay him or tell him anything. And then I knew that these other guys were after me. I'm guessing they were like members of whatever gang he was in that was like, oh, you don't back out of a deal, now you're a snitch, we gotta fucking kill you, or some crazy shit like that. I just didn't have any money. And I remember crossing like just weird paths. Like I remember the earth was like splitting open, and there was like veins or like roots or tubes or something on the ground that would move in our way. And I remember running up to the top, feeling this judgment. I feel like I'm missing a certain presence, but I can't remember anymore. And I remember getting in a fight whoever I was with. It wasn't the same breakdancing dude, even though that would make sense. And we were talking about like it was all my fault that the fucking things came. I was like, I don't fucking know. This party's whack. I can't tell what the fuck's going on. I I'm just trying to leave, and I need all my key cards and stuff like that. And um, I think I just jumped out once the room we were in started to break, but I can't remember. Maybe I'll remember more later, but I really doubt it. Anyway, this is another part of the dream that I didn't even fucking mention. Is that I feel like the whole dream was an emulator that I was in with my friend Brandon, and my friend Brandon, he's I guess he's still currently a car mechanic, but he's really into like retro stuff and like pretty like neat stuff, but he's also pretty um I guess like wild with his like physical stuff. I don't think he'd like me laying in his bed and like trying on his shoes and stuff like that. Obviously, so it's like kind of that kind of vibe. Like I'm in his place, but I'm not supposed to touch anything, and if I do, I have to keep it absolutely minimum. I remember a bunch of other stuff, but I can't put it together at all. Uh, he left for like work or something, and I was left in his room for like weeks, and he had like a little bed on the side of a monitor, like so the pillow is almost adjacent to the desk where his monitor is, and they're both well, I guess I can't tell where they're facing, but let's just imagine this like facing up. I wake up and my head's on the pillow, and I turn left, and then there's a chair there, and more over my head because I'm still laying down. there's a desk, and on that desk there's a computer, and he has drawers in that desk, and the chair's there, and then the walls to my left, and it's like a little twin mattress, has like it looks like those old blankets that like old people used to make. Well, I guess they're just old because old people made them, and it was just the things they did back then. But it's like a quilt blanket, and I remember sleeping on like the very edge, so I wouldn't touch anything, like so I wouldn't be touching his whole bed whenever I slept. And when I would be on his computer, and I'd see that he had like a lot of different games to me. Like he had like really just like chill out games and like or like homely games. Like I remember there was one. It was called like Grommel or like Grindel, something like that. It was just like a dude like just living in the forest, just like cutting trees down and just sitting in meadows, and it was like a pixelated like cartoony type mm, game, and it just seemed nice. Like there was no enemies, no story. It was like you just chill out. And there was like a there was also a second version of this game and a third version. The other one looked like a red book or like a red bookshelf with like the bookcases spelling out some sort of letter in black. And I can't remember what it was. I can't read and I can't remember even if I could. And it was freaky, but I don't think they attacked. And then there was another group later. Damn! It's like I completely forgot everything I was gonna talk about. But every time I stopped playing this game, I'd zip out, and then I'd just be looking at his games and his weird consoles and stuff like that he had. And I remember coming back, and he was like really weird. I remember like a weird social interactions with at the party with like aliens. I remember stuff like that, like making them uncomfortable on accident, or like um, I don't know. I feel like talking to something makes it act different, and I don't know. There was so much going on. I can't remember at all. But I'm surprised I remember even that much. Maybe I can remember later once I re-listen to this. But bye bye.